Today, we're diving into the work of Dr. Gary Fettke, an orthopedic surgeon whose ideas are pretty controversial. He argues that some of the foods we've all been told are healthy are actually doing us some serious damage. Let's get right into it.
So let me start with a question that, most of us would say yes to without even thinking. Would you eat an apple every day for your health? I mean, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It feels like the most basic, solid health advice there is. But what if the science tells, a very different story? Okay, check this out. This is the first big shocker. From a biochemical standpoint, an apple and a can of Coke are way more similar than you'd think. They're both about 10% sugar, and it's the same two sugar molecules in both, fructose and glucose. Dr. Fettke's whole point is that your liver, it doesn't care if the sugar came from a beautiful natural apple or a can of soda. To your body, it's all just sugar. And this idea, it's central to everything we're about to cover. So you're probably wondering, how does a bone surgeon get into a fight with mainstream nutrition? Well, it didn't start in some fancy research lab. It started in his own operating room with something he saw that just completely shocked him.
Dr. Fettke talks about this one gut-wrenching experience that just changed everything for him. He was about to amputate a man's leg, a guy just in his 40s, because of severe complications from diabetes. And the craziest part, he sees that same patient in the hospital being served ice cream and being told, yeah, that's fine. That was the moment he realized something was deeply, deeply wrong. The disconnect was just massive.
He knew this poor guy's condition didn't just pop up out of nowhere. No, this was the end result of decades of a slow, simmering fire inside his body, chronic inflammation, fueled by processed foods and sugars. The kind of stuff that, you can even find on a standard hospital menu. This wasn't just about one guy. It was a huge systemic problem. So what happens when a doctor starts telling his patients, hey, maybe lay off the sugar if you want to keep your limbs? You'd think he'd be praised, right? Nope, he was silenced. And that kicked off a years-long battle just to get this information out there. And what a journey it was. It starts in the early 2010s with him just giving simple, what seems like common sense advice. But by 2014, once he starts talking about it on social media, bam, he gets targeted by food industry lobbyists. Then, get this, in 2016, a dietitian actually reports him to the medical board. It starts this huge multi-year war, as he calls it, that finally ends in 2018 when he's completely exonerated and even gets a written apology. And his own reaction to getting reported just says it all. He thought it was a joke. I mean, can you believe it? Being officially investigated for telling patients with out-of-control diabetes to not eat sugar. It just shows you how powerful and, frankly, how strange some of the official dietary advice has become. So, after all that fighting, all that research he was forced to do to defend himself, Dr. Fettke boiled the problem down to three main things. He calls them the three hidden culprits of inflammation, the things that he believes are really driving all this chronic disease. And here they are: fructose, glucose, and industrial seed oils. The tricky part is that they're often hiding in plain sight, even in foods that have healthy slapped all over the label. So let's break them down one by one. All right, first up, fructose. That's the sugar in fruit, honey, agave, all the natural sweeteners. When you eat it, something pretty wild happens. It bypasses the normal digestive route and goes straight to your liver, where it's processed down the exact same biochemical pathway as alcohol. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This process can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and it messes with your hunger signals, so your brain never gets the memo that you're full. It just leaves you feeling tired and wanting more food. Okay, on to culprit number 2, glucose. To really get this, we have to take a quick trip to the kitchen and talk about something called the Maillard reaction. You actually know this reaction really well. It's what happens when you toast a piece of bread and it turns brown and delicious. It's the browning on a grilled steak. It's caramelization. It's what makes browned food taste so good. So why are we talking about cooking? Because according to Dr. Fettke, when your blood glucose gets too high, that exact same browning reaction, it happens inside your body. He has this unforgettable way of putting it. You are literally toasting your tissues from the inside out. It's a powerful image, isn't it?
So how much glucose does it take to start this internal toasting? The number he gives is tiny. Just 4 grams. 4 grams is what he says is enough to have a toxic inflammatory effect. To put that in perspective, that's a single level teaspoon of sugar, or the amount of sugar you'd get in just 1 bite of an apple.
And that brings us to culprit number 3, industrial seed oils. These things are everywhere, often sold to us as a heart-healthy choice, but he argues they're incredibly inflammatory. We're talking about all the usual suspects: vegetable oil, canola, sunflower, safflower oil, and yes, margarine. Now, if you need one really good reason to start avoiding these oils, here it is. The inflammatory acid in them, linoleic acid, has an estimated half-life in your body's fat cells of 4 years. That's not a typo. It means if you stop eating them today, 4 years from now, half of the amount you've stored could still be in your system causing inflammation. It just sits there.
Okay, so fructose, glucose, seed oils, it's a lot of bad news, and it can feel pretty overwhelming. But the great thing is, Dr. Fettke's solution couldn't be simpler. It's refreshingly straightforward.
Here it is, his entire philosophy, right here in one sentence. It's not some complicated diet with a bunch of rules and points to track. It's just a return to common sense. Eat fresh, local, seasonal, whole food that makes sense for where you live and what your ancestors ate. And the most important part, avoid added sugar and processed food. It's about eating real food. He frames the choice for his patients in these really stark, powerful terms. You basically have 2 options. You can spend your time now in the kitchen preparing real food, maybe with your family. Or you can spend your time later in his waiting room dealing with the consequences. Pay now or pay later.
And this brings us to a crucial point. Maybe his most controversial claim of all. Our bodies have essential needs for protein and for fat. We literally can't live without them. But according to the biochemistry, there isn't a single pathway in the human body that requires us to eat carbohydrates. Our liver is perfectly capable of making all the glucose our brain and body needs. It's definitely some food for thought. And that leaves us with one final, very practical question you can ask yourself. Next time you're in the grocery store, just think about this. If a food comes in a box or a package, and it needs a flashy label covered in health claims trying to persuade you that it's good for you, should you really be eating it? Real food doesn't need a marketing campaign. Thanks for tuning in to this explainer.